And here we have what are brick lines, brick lines, brick lines. It appears that the red color of the brick has been isolated into bands from the heat. And of course, this is the actual top of the building. And down here is the ground. Here's the top of the building up here. Water is flowing from way over here all the way down. Where's it coming from? It appears that there is more residual technology still intact from the old world. Almost all of these buildings, there is still water flowing out of the tops of them. Somehow, water is being pumped from the water table below all the way up into the tops of these buildings. Everywhere, there's no water anywhere from any snow melt or anything. And it's just coming out like crazy in all these buildings. When you're like, there's no water there for it to have built up, and here's more water coming down. We'll get to it. Here we have more water coming out all around. You see melted building with tons and tons of water flowing out of the top of them. Their irrigation systems still intact. The top of this building, water is flowing out, and the sun is hitting it, making it look like liquid hot melted metal or lava. All melted building here forming rock curtains. Here, more water just coming out of the tops of these buildings and flowing. Irrigation system still intact. Old world Tatarian technology still working till this day. Again, look at the water pumping out of here. Here, water coming out of here. These are red brick lines here. Down there is the bottom of the building. Here, water still flowing out of the top of the building. Melted building, still water flowing out. More melted buildings, water gushing. Beautiful clean water, incredibly clean. And again, everywhere you look here is tops of buildings. These are the tops of buildings here. Okay, brick lines. See the red brick, and then from way over here somewhere, water is still gushing out of the building, the top of it. The irrigation system is still intact. And this goes on and on. If we were to find out how this is happening, I'm sure it would answer a lot of questions for us about the old world. Again, here you can see the rock curtains frozen in midair, and tops of buildings here, arches, brick lines, windows, columns, and then water flowing out still. Here, water coming out all over the place. But you can see the rock curtains that formed when the building melted down on itself. Still red, still arches over here. And water. Here we have water still flowing out of these melted buildings. More water. More melted buildings, more water flowing out the tops. Gushing. Look at this. Gushing. Down the steps. And again, this was here. This is all inherited. This is red brick. It was already set up by the old world. Set up like this. We inherited this. Nobody set this up. And the water is still flowing. But the red brick is damaged and turned to stone. It's all been damaged and turned to stone. But this was all here before we inherited it from the old world. And the water is still flowing to this day. Just amazing. Again, look at the water coming out of the top of the building here. Again, you see the arches here. And up here, more building. And then water flowing out. More melted building. See the arch here. The brick lines. And water. Excuse me, more water. Again, what you see here. You got the top of the building. arches, and it got mangled and damaged here, rock curtaining down, and water still flowing out over the building. More water. More water. I mean, we're talking insane amounts of water. It's no joke, the amount of water we're talking here. Again, what's left of this building from the X Factor, it's been mangled. It's been just mangled here and here. This is pocket of survival, what's left. Here, water flowing out still. Brick lines, it's all buildings. And water is still flowing out to this day. And look at this amount of water. Yes, there is residual, quite a buildup of water up in this case. And it's rare, but it's because it's just being built up. It's because it's gushing so fast out of these buildings. It's being pumped up somehow from the water table into out the tops of these buildings still. To this day. Even Niagara Falls and places, and then this, I don't know what that is. Again, there's so much water's coming out, it's building up. It's not rain, no snow. You see this everywhere. You hardly see this, though. Usually it's just coming out of nowhere. Like this. This is buildings, arches, different levels of the building. Water is still flowing out. You have this heat expansion columns here, forming what would be crystals if it weren't so dense with concrete. Look at the amount of water flowing out the tops of these buildings. It's enormous. It's no joke. I mean, look at this. Look how small we are here. They are here. Water flowing like crazy. Again. Out in the middle of nowhere. There's no snow anywhere. It's a jungle. Notice the vegetation. It's hot. There's no snow. There's no lake. There's just like water gushing out from the top of these buildings. This is the top of a building. See the brick lines, arch. All tops of buildings here. Down here is where you should be standing. The ocean floor is where you should be standing on ground zero. Again, check it out. You're kind of like out in the middle of a desert here. Residual building, hot melted building, and out of nowhere, water. Still pumping out the top to the point it's flowing all the way down this way constantly. So you have the pocket of survival. You have water just gushing out of the tops of these buildings still, being pumped from the water table somehow. Over and over and over and over and over again and over. Water coming out of nowhere here. Water coming out of nowhere here from the top of the building. Tons of water coming out of here. Gushing. It's no joke, the amount of water coming out of here. It's collecting here. Building up and then flowing out. Waterfall here. Look at the way top here, the water coming out of this building, the top of the building here. Again, enormous amount of water flowing out of the top of the building here. Flowing out of the top of the building here. You can see some rock curtains here. Just incredible. The brick lines you can see here cooked into block lines. Water still gushing out of the top of the building here. The brick lines down here. I mean, that's a lot of water right here. You can see how it melted here and rock curtained here, and there's water still coming out of the top of the building here. And here. And here. And here. Of course, it's a little cold here. It's freezing. Here. The waterfall has frozen and formed a water rock. Not a rock curtain, but a frozen water curtain. Frozen water curtain. Very similar to the rock curtain. Water still coming out of the top of the building here. You can see how it melted the building at the bottom here. The X-factor event did. Water still coming out of here. See the arch. What's left of this building from the old world. Cracked here. And again, more water flowing out of the top here. That was a building. Here's a building. What's left of it, the top, is a pocket of survival, still intact. The heat has come up from the bottom and mangled the building. It sunk down into the ground here when it got grid meltdown. And then there's still water coming out of the building. The irrigation system has remained intact to this day. Somehow here's some steps and melted brick, some more brick lines, and water coming out of the top. You could still have a bridge here connecting these buildings. Brick lines melted. You can see how the building melted in wave after wave down this way. Brick lines, brick lines, still water coming out of the top in here. It's kind of endless. More melted buildings, more water coming out of the top. More melted buildings, more water coming out of the top. Brick lines, top of the building here. Brick lines melted down, and then you have, this is coming all the way, making its way down to here. Over the top of this other building here. Again, you could see where it was really hot and melted here. It became viscous and wavy and flowing and fluid. It melted the building, and then it's still flowing water out of the top of it. Again, this was here. This fountain setup was here. It's been damaged by the X-factor event, and the water is still flowing out of the building all the way down, even though the building's completely damaged up to that point and flooded on itself, melting. Pocket of survival. Just incredible evidence of the old world technology still intact to this day. Water coming out of the top of the building here. And here. And here. And its irrigation system still intact here. Again, you have buildings, building after building, brick line after brick line, tops of buildings, and just water coming out of the tops of these buildings. Time after time, the evidence is overwhelming. Another one, more evidence. Here's some dripping rock curtains of a building here.